Hello everyone, how are you? I hope all of you are doing really good. So welcome to another session of strategic management, and let's continue with our discussion on strategic implementation. So in the last lecture we discussed about the few things. We discussed about the strategic change and that how to overcome the challenges that you might face while going for the changes in the strategy, right? There can be resistance from employees. Then we discussed about the Kurt Lewin's 3 phases of going for the strategic change. Okay, so now we are going for the digital transformation. Now digital transformation is what? It is also a kind of change, right? So whenever we use this word change, there will always be certain kind of resistance from the various departments, from the people who are working in the organization. So there will be some kind of resistance. How to deal with that? What is change management? Let's talk about in the case of digital transformation, when the organizations have decided to move from the manual work to the digital work, right? For example, the banking system is one of the biggest example. In the earlier days, all the work used to be done manually, but slowly they shifted everything to the digital world. Right now everything, the whole banking is available on your mobile phones. At one time we used to go to the banks to deposit cash, to withdraw the cash, and to deposit the challan slips for the taxes and all those things. Everything used to be manual, right? But now everything is digital. So as the organizations move ahead as per the requirement of the changing environment, it also requires, the changing environment requires that the organizations should go for what? They should go for the digital transformation, right? The use of digital technologies to develop fresh, improved and entirely new company procedures, goods and services is known as digital transformation, right? So now we are going to use the digital technologies to manufacture our goods, to do our processes. It is a fundamental adjustment that can be challenging to identify and even more challenging to implement. Challenging to identify means there can be various challenges that the organization can face in terms of that, to identify the areas where the digital transformation can work in their favor, right? Where the digital transformation is required and that can work in their favor. So identifying those areas can be challenging, and once we are able to identify it, implementation can be even more challenging, right? Organizations can plan, prepare for and carry out the changes in their operations, including the digital transformations, with the aid of the discipline of what? The discipline of change management, right? So we need to study what is change management. When implemented correctly, the change management may assist the firms in overcoming the obstacles posed by the digital transition and reaping the full rewards of the investment. So he says a company can the transit to the digital transformation through the help of change management. And if you are able to understand and implement change management in the right way, then the obstacles that you were expected to face due to the changes, that obstacles can reduce and you can get full benefit of whatever the change you were trying to implement. And the change here means the digital transformation, right? Now the change management in the digital transformation consists of 4 essential elements. What are the elements that change management says how to bring about the change, how to bring about the digital transformation? He says, first of all, defining the goals and objectives of the transformation, that what you want to achieve through that transformation. What is your goal? What is your objective? The objective is to reduce the working time. The objective is to increase the efficiency through digitalization. So you need to clearly explain the goals and objectives of transformation, that why you are going for that, what are the goals, what do you want to achieve through that transformation. Second thing that you want to define is assessing the current state of the organization and identifying the gaps. So you need to define that why you want to go for the digital transformation, because there are certain gaps which need to be filled, whether it is in terms of the lower efficiency, whether it is in terms of the lower productivity, or whether it is in terms of the quality of the goods and services being provided. So there are certain gaps. We need to fill those gaps because we want to stay ahead in the competition. To do that, we need to fill those gaps. Right? So you need to identify and explain clearly what is the current state and what are the gaps that you are trying to fill through digital transformation. Creating a roadmap for change that outlines the steps needed to reach the desired state. So you should be very clearly defining everything, that how you are going to proceed with the change, right? Step 1, we will change only one part. We will digitalize only the sales. The rest of the things will not change. In the second stage, we will digitalize the purchases of the department, right? We will go step by step, but this should be properly documented. This should be clearly defined. What are the steps that you are going to change? Implementing and managing the change at every level of the organization. Right? So at every level, you need to implement it and continuously monitor it, manage it. If there are any obstacles, manage those obstacles and try to identify, right? So the first thing that you need to do is what? The first is the goals and objectives should be clearly defined. Second is identifying the gaps, right? Third is creating a roadmap and the steps. The roadmap shows what? The roadmap shows the steps to be followed for implementing the change. The last one is implementing and managing the change at every level in the organization. Highlight the keywords, right? That's why I have always been saying the keywords are important. How you are going about with the keywords, that is the most important thing. Clear? Now he says to navigate a digital transformation successfully, each of these elements is necessary, but what matters most is how they collaborate to support the organizations in achieving their goals. That how these elements are going to work hand in hand, whether and secondly the people from where the resistance is expected, if they support organization, how they are going to support organization, that matters, that whether the change will be successful or not. Right? How does change management work? So what is a change management basically? Change management is a process or a set of tools and best practices used to manage the changes in the organization. So it is a basically it is a process that many organizations have been following. It is the best practices or the tools which the organization have been following. For example, what we can say, so some of the practices our parents have been following when we as the kids. What are those practices? They will ask you not to eat bad things. They will ask you not to say bad things, right? So when you are going into the transition from the adolescence to the teenage, from teenage to adult age, right? So they will follow a set process. They will follow the things that are required during that change, because there are a lot of things that change during that phase. Parents are aware of that. They are following the change management, right? So change management is not only applicable for the business, they are applicable for the personal life also, right? It assists in making the changes in a safe and regulated manner, reducing the possibility of detrimental effects on the company, right? So these processes help us in successfully transforming or successfully transiting to a changed scenario without having the negative impacts on the company, right? Any sort of organization, including the enterprises, organization, government bodies, and even the families can utilize change management to manage the changes. That is what I told you, that when a child is, growing, there are changes that are coming in the child. So how to manage those changes? At one stage of the life, the child will be very naughty. At another stage, the child will become extremely naughty, right? So the parents during that transition phase, they need to have a check and they need to follow the change management so that, the child doesn't become too violent, right? They need to manage, they need to follow the best practices. They might meet the therapist, or they might go for the other techniques of the change management so that the child transits from one age to another age in a safe and secured manner without having the negative impacts here, right? So there are a lot of factors to be considered. So this is change management. Clear? Change management models and methods come in a wide variety, but they all have key things in common. What are the key things that they have in common? That these include creating a clear vision for the change, that what we want to achieve through that change, involving the stakeholders in the process. That is very important. Otherwise, you will get the resistance from the stakeholders. The stakeholders are whom? The stakeholders are the, your employees are also there, your shareholders are also there, your creditors, everyone is there, right? So if you are going for the change management, you should involve everyone that, okay, this is what we are trying to do. Please give your inputs, right? They will feel a part of it. Coming up with a plan to putting the change into action. Detailed plan. Okay, in the step 1, this is what we are going to do. Then step 2, this is what we are going to do. Step 3, you should draft a plan, a detailed plan, that how you are going to go about with that change, and keeping an eye on the results. First plan, implement, and then monitor. Although change management is frequently viewed as difficult and complicated process, it is vital for ensuring that the digital transformation projects are successful. Although it is considered to be difficult and a complicated process, but if implemented, it can bring great results. Clear? The role of change management in the digital transformation. The digital transformation is a process of organizational change that enables an organization to use technology to create new value for the customers, employees, and other stakeholders. Obviously, when you are going to use technology, and if it is being used in the right way, it is going to create more valuable things for the customers. And if you are able to create a more valuable thing for the customer, you will reap the benefits which will be passed on to the stakeholders, maybe the employees, the shareholders, and everyone else, right? A good change management strategy is necessary for the successful digital transformation. Change management is the process of planning, implementing, and monitoring. That is what I told you. Planning, implementing, and then monitoring the changes in the organization. It provides an organization in achieving their objectives while reducing the risk and the disruptions. So change management helps in successfully implementing the change without any too much of disruptions or too much of resistance. For any organization undergoing a digital transition, the change management is crucial, right? A properly implemented change management strategy can help an organization to specify the parameters and the goals of digital transformation. This is what is to be specified. Determine which procedures and tools need to be modified, that what we are going to change, right? Whether we are going to change only the writing of books, the accounting part we are going to change, that is what we are going to digitalize. The rest of the things will work. So you should clearly define it. Make a plan for implementing the improvement. Involve the staff members and the parties involved in the transformation process. Track the progress and make required course corrections, right? So again, the same things. You should define the goals. You should define the procedures and tools that need to be modified. Make a plan. Involvement of the people is important, and track progress and make the required corrections, right? So these are the keywords which are there in the change management, that how change management can help in the successful digital transformation. Clear? A crucial component of digital transition is change management. Why it gains more importance in the current times? Because the organization can improve their chances of success by approaching the change in the proactive and organized manner, right? So the organizations can proactively move towards the digital transformation. They can move towards the change, and if they can use the change management which can help in the successful implementation, that is really good for the organizations. They can get success, they can stay ahead in the competition, and they can do the things different than their competitor, right? Okay, so the next topic is change management strategies for digital transformation. So there are 5 things that the change management says that if you want to go for the digital transformation, you have to look at these 5 things, right, which can be challenging. The 5 best practices for managerial change in small and medium-sized business. First is begin at the top. The begin at the top says that the people who are sitting at the top level of the management, they should be one. They should be united, they should be focused, they should be working in one direction. Their vision should be same with regard to the transformation also, right? They should be having a common vision. Only then they will be able to motivate the other people in the organization. They should set an example for the others that we are united, we are taking this decision in the best interest, you should also work for it, right? So that is really important. A focused, invested, and united leadership that is on the same page about the company's future is reflected in the change that begins at the top. So it starts with the top. The culture that will motivate the rest of organization to accept change can only be generated and promoted this way. If the people at the top level, they are united, they are working in, they are having the same vision with regard to the change, only then they will be able to motivate the other people in the organization. Ensure that the change is both necessary and desired, right? So you should make sure that change is necessary, change is desirable for the organization, and the people at the top, they should know how to handle the change, right? They should know how to handle the disruptions. If they are totally unaware of what is the change, why we are going for it, that shows that the change is not necessary. If the change is necessary and desired, those people will have the right knowledge that, okay, this is what we are going to implement. Only then they will be implementing it right? The fact that the decision makers are unaware of how to properly handle a digital transformation and the effects it will have on their firm is one of the main causes of this. That then we can say that it is not necessary and desired, right? If it is necessary, then they will be aware of it. If they are not aware of it, then that means there is some gap between it, right? If a corporation doesn't have a sound strategy in place, introducing too much too fast can frequently become a major issue down the road. If you are going to implement too many things quite quickly, which is not necessary and which is actually you do not have the right strategy for that also, that can create really big problems. Clear? The third one is the disruptions. Reduce the disruption. He says the employees will try to create the disruptions whenever there is going to be a change, because they are reluctant. Right? For you, the change might be important, right, from your perspective, but from the employee's perspective, that might not be important, right? So you should work on reducing the disruptions as much as possible when you are going for the digital transformation. He says the employee's perception of what is required or desirable change can differ by department rank or the performance history. The top level is interested in the change, the lower level is not interested in the change. Right? Perspectives are absolutely different. It is crucial to listen how the changes affect the staff. You should be prepared for that, how the change is going to affect the staff, and you should make sure that the change should not affect your staff in the negative way, right? Otherwise, lot of disruptions will be there. The introduction of new tactics or the technologies intended to improve the management and corporate operation causes the employee concern about the change, right? So new tactics, new technologies, obviously the employees will be resistance to that. They will show resistance to that because we all love to be in our comfort zone, and going out of the comfort zone will be problematic, right? So how can we reduce the disruptions? Getting the word out early and preparing for some interruptions. It should not be coming as a shock, right, to the employees. You should give them an idea that this is what we are planning to do in the coming month, in the coming year, right? And you should be mentally prepared for any kind of disruptions. Giving the staff members the knowledge and tools, right? Give them complete knowledge, give them the tools that how they can successfully go about with this change. They need to adjust to the change, right? To adjust whatever the tools they required, whatever the study material they require, whatever the webinar sessions they require, provide them with everything. Only then they will be happy with the change. If you say to the employee that, okay, we are going to change this, but you do not provide them with the knowledge or tools that how it is to be done, then obviously how will they get motivated? They will not get motivated, isn't it? Creating an environment that encourages the transformation or change, right? That is the work culture. You should have a very positive work culture. Instill the motivation. Okay, we are one team. We will do it. Let's do it together. Empowering the change agents to provide context and clarity for the changes, such as project managers and the team leaders. So ask the team leaders, ask your project managers to take the lead and tell their team that why this change is going on, what are the benefits that you are going to get from this change. Clearly mention out everything, right? Ensuring the IT department is informed of the changes in technology or infrastructure and is prepared to support them. This is very important, sir. IT department is going to play a big role in it, right? Because that is one department that has to support the digitalization process, right? So this is reducing the disruptions. The next one is encourage communication. Right? Encourage communication means that you should, your employees, you should have a work culture in such a way that your employees can reach you anytime. They can communicate the problems to you anytime. They can communicate that, sir, this is the problem that we are facing, and you are open to communication. You listen to their problems, try to find out the solutions, keep them motivated. That's really important, right? Create the channels so that the workers may contact you with the queries or the complaints. Encourage the departmental collaborations to propagate the ideas and innovations as the new procedures take root, right? So you can encourage that marketing and sales team, please collaborate and give your views that how we can use the technology to increase our sales. That will give them a boost. That will give them an encouragement. Communication promotes efficiency and has the power to influence the culture just like your vision, right? So the last one is recognize that change is the norm, not the exception. That change has to be followed in the daily routine. It is not to be followed occasionally or under the exceptional circumstances. It has to be a normal routine for that, right? It is not like that you are going to use the digital transformation only when if it is required under exceptional circumstances. No, you have to use this under all the circumstances. It should become your normal routine. This is what you should be doing it. Change readiness may be defined as the ability to continuously initiate and respond to the change in the ways that create advantage, minimize the risk, and sustain performance, right? So you should be change ready, and this change ready means creating a beneficial things with the change, right? Ability to continuously initiate and respond to the change, right, in the ways that create advantage and not the disruptions, minimize the risk, and sustain the performance. In order to keep up with the customers, the business must also adapt their operations. Obviously, the changes in operations will be required. They must prepare for the change in advance and expect them. It may run into difficulties because change is not a project but rather an ongoing process. Change is not a particular project that once it is done the further change will not be required. No, sir, the changes will be required at all the stages. Because the business environment is dynamic, it keeps on changing, so the changes will also be required. So this change is a norm. It is not an exception that only under exceptional circumstances we will adopt the change. No, you should continuously look for the changes to be done which give you an advantage, which reduces the risk for the organization, and which helps in improving the performance of the organization, right? So this is the change management strategies for digital transformation, that if you are going for digital transformation, what are the things that you can keep in mind? What are the things that need to be considered? How to manage the change during the digital transformation? So basically, the things that we have already studied, that you should specify the digital transformation's aims and objectives, right? That what we want to achieve through digital transformation, right? What is the intention behind it? What are the objectives we want to achieve? Always communicate. Communicate with all the levels of people in the organization. It might be challenging for the people to accept the change and adjust to it. Ensure that you routinely and honestly discuss the objectives of digital transformation and how they will affect the stakeholders, including employee, clients, and other parties. So you should clearly communicate with everyone so that there are little disruptions, right? Be ready for resistance. You should be mentally prepared for the resistance, and you should be prepared with a plan on how to tackle that resistance. Very important, right? Have a strategy in place. Implement the changes gradually. He says, do not go for the changing everything at one go. No, bring in the changes gradually. Let the people adjust to the smaller things. Because if you are going to implement everything in one go, then the resistance level will be this high, right? If you go slowly, okay, we will implement the digital transformation in only marketing. We will see the results there first, then we will move ahead, right? So this is going slow. Gradually implement the things. Do not go for too fast. Then offer the assistance and training, that in case the workers find difficulty in anything, you should be there offering them the help and solving their queries and problems, and the proper training should be there that how to handle this change, how to handle the digital processes. Clear? So these are the things, how to manage the change during digital transformation. With this, we are done with this topic of digital transformation, completely done. And in the next lecture, we will be taking up this small topic, that is organizational framework, right? And then we will talk about the next topic, that is organizational structure, which is a big topic, right? Because types of structures and everything we will be discussing about. Then types of organizational structures will start, right? So these are the topics that we will be taking up in the next lectures now. So please revise this digital transformation topic, the strategic change topic, the change management part, very important, right? See you guys in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, keep studying, keep sharing. Thank you so much.